Dober Fantasy players and fantasy football fans. The 2018 NFL Divisional Playoffs continue on Sunday, January 14th, with the Jacksonville Jaguars going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here are the players we think are sleepers and that will beat their fantasy point totals on Dober Fantasy play cards for this week's playoff game. Kicking in Pittsburgh is generally a nightmare, but Chris Boswell has had a really good season for the Steelers. He booted 35 field goals in the regular season, 3 of which came against the Jacksonville Jaguars back in Week 5. Boswell has made some clutch kicks in the past, including some rare long ones here at Heinz Field. If the Jacksonville defense plays as stout in this one as it did in Week 5, there will be plenty of chances for Boswell to put 3 points on the board. Blake Bortles obviously isn't a polished passer, but the one thing that he has been able to do in his career is put up garbage points when games are out of reach. This game feels like one in which Jacksonville will be playing from behind, and that could benefit Marquise Lee. We're getting a nice price on Lee here with a projected fantasy point total of just 7.0. Lee hasn't caught a ball since December 10th, but the Jacksonville offense will need him to be dominant in this game to have a shot at this upset. We'll take our chances on a man who scored at least 7 Dober Fantasy points in 7 out of 8 games from October 15th through December 10th. Does anyone remember when Allen Hurns posted over 1,000 receiving yards with 10 touchdowns? Well, it was only 2 short years ago. Hurns has only totaled 961 receiving yards in 22 games since that point, and he was shut out last week against Buffalo. Blake Bortles has to have a better game this week than he did against the Bills, though, and Hurns figures to be one of the primary beneficiaries. We love his chance to get into the end zone this Sunday, and even if he doesn't, 3 or 4 receptions should do the trick to put him over his fantasy point total. It's been an up and down season for TJ Yeldon in Jacksonville, but this game plays right into his hands. He's the best pass-catching back in the Jaguars' backfield, and if they're playing from behind, he'll be on the field for plenty of snaps. We've already seen Yeldon post several games this season with at least 3 receptions, and if he can get there again, there's a good chance he inches up near double digits of Dober Fantasy points. Even the most optimistic fan of Heyward-Bey knows that he is not going to be on the field all that often against the Jaguars on Sunday. He only took a total of 89 snaps this season, and 31 of them came in the game that Antonio Brown got hurt back in Week 15. In fact, Heyward-Bey only has 4 offensive touches all season long, totaling 79 yards. But the one thing we know about Heyward-Bey is that he is ridiculously fast and always seems to make a big impact in these huge games. The Steelers will work the ball into his hands once or twice during this game, and we merely need him to break free for a double-digit gain to wrap up a win on Dober play cards.